Recording.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Wingers and Defenders. We're glad you're here tuning in to us. Today we're going to talk about Premier League up to the international break, month into the season. A lot of stuff has happened that maybe we didn't expect, stuff we did expect. I mean, we have a lot going on. So first off, let's say hello, Christian and Jacob. What's good, guys?
Good.
Greetings.
So we'll start off on the bottom half of the table. The relegation zone right now is Fulham at 20th, Sheffield at 19, and Burnley at 18. All have 0 points so far. There's a lot of time to make it up. I mean, we've seen this totally flip-flop. But what are our takeaways from those three teams being so low on the table and being without points through the first four games?
Sure, I'll go first. Fulham, I expected to go down, so this is not a surprise to me. They've been pretty poor defensively and have not really contributed much offensively. In the game against Leeds, they did score, I believe, 2 or 3 goals. Mitrovic was pretty active in the heading department, at least had a heading goal, I believe. For Sheffield, Joe predicted this, is predicting it over the whole season. Let me throw it that way. So it's not a surprise to him. It is somewhat of a slight surprise because some of the goals they're giving up are just pretty poor, or they're just being bad, as in they got a red card against Aston Villa, who have looked very good, especially yesterday, which we will talk to. But for Burnley, this is the only team that you guys didn't have that I had in the bottom, I believe. And you guys kind of were up in arms about it. This doesn't surprise me. Yeah, let alone it's only 3 games. So it is a small sample size, which I know me and Jake, or specifically Jake, has always mentioned when we've been talking about the table so far. We have to be aware that it is only 3 or 4 games, depending on which team you're talking about. So in that sense, Sean Dyche kind of is up in arms about not getting players in, which as current stands, it's 4 o'clock. So 2 hours left of the window. I don't think Burnley's going to do anything, but this doesn't come as a surprise for me. I don't know about you guys, but West Brom is the other team I had in the bottom 3. So the fact that Sheffield is there is a cause for concern. But then again, we haven't talked about this on the show. Ryan Brewster is in. There is a buyback clause over the next 3 years. So if Liverpool do want him back, he can come back. But for this year, that is definitely an upgrade for the guys they have up front. But, yeah, it's interesting to see what happens at the bottom 3.
Yeah, the bottom 3 for me, I didn't have Burnley going down, nor Sheffield United, nor do I think they will go down. But I think the 3 bottom teams in the Premier League reflect the strength of squads in the Premier League, like as far as their position. 20th, Fulham, 19th, Sheffield, 18th, Burnley. I think those and 17th, West Brom, those 4 teams are the worst in terms of squad strength in the Premier League. So I'm not surprised in the first month of the season that these are the bottom 3 or 4 teams. I don't expect Burnley to stay there. I don't expect Sheffield United to stay there. I think they'll end up out of relegation zone personally. But when you look at their squads, those are probably the weakest squads in the Premier League as far as talent goes and depth-wise. Sean Dyche has obviously talked about, like Christian said, not getting enough players that he wants in. But it's Burnley. I mean, I don't know much about Burnley's transfer news and what they have going on. Relatively, they're a pretty boring club as far as like who they bring in, how they play
Racist
football.
club as well.
I'm not going to get into all of that, but I will say though that I'm not surprised that they're in this position. I think they're going to get out of it because they have enough quality to stay up. They've done it for the past couple seasons, but they're not the best team, and I don't think they're going to stay in the relegation zone for too long. Sheffield United is a team where I'm kind of disappointed in them. Arsenal played them last time out, and we did win 2-1. And they don't seem like they're a very good team. I mean, I don't really know what to say. The match that they had from last season looks like it could be waning, but again, like we've said, it's only been 3 weeks. We don't know how good they really are, can be. But I don't know what's the ceiling for them. Ryan Brewster is the guy that's going to have to give them points in some kind of way. They have to score goals. I think they scored their first goal all season against Arsenal in their 4th game, I believe. That's not enough to cut it in the Premier League, so they're going to need to get scoring. Hopefully it comes from Brewster.
Yeah, so my opinion is no surprise on Fulham. They're just a shocking club. They're a yo-yo club. They're going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. We've seen it throughout the past few years. Sheffield surprises me a little bit. I didn't have them going down. I thought they'd be in a fight for relegation. I didn't think they'd be this bad this early though. but they look shocking. Their defense does not look as good as it used to be at all. Obviously, Ramsdale's a ginormous downgrade from Dean Henderson, and their strikers just aren't getting the job done. So, I mean, maybe they'll be able to stay up, but right now they don't look like they're staying up at all. Burnley surprises me, but I have no doubts in my mind that Sean Dyche is going to be able to figure out that 4-4-2 and just freaking put an end to it and just gnaw out draws at some point. So that's not a cause for concern to me. That's just we know the course with Dyche and Burnley. They'll figure it out some way, one way or another. So moving on, let's talk about the top of the table here. Pretty shocking. A team from Merseyside is up top, but it's not who we all predicted right as of now. Everton, 4-0-0. They've taken all 12 points this season, and they've looked very good in all their games. So, I mean, our top six right now is Everton at 12, Villa at 9, Leicester at 9, Arsenal at 9, Liverpool at 9, and then Tottenham at 7. What are our thoughts of that top six for European spots? What are our thoughts there?
I'll go first. So both Manchester clubs are not in that top six, as we are well aware. Just wanted to make the point that both of them have played only 3 games. And then again, Aston Villa is also played 3 games and are still in second place. So it's not as much of an excuse because Manchester City looked pretty bad against Leicester. Gave up 5 goals. I believe there was 3 penalties, 2 from Vardy and I believe 1 from Tielemans. So bad performance at home, which is the problem. Aguero is back in training, which we talked about yesterday off camera, of course. So that is a positive. And Manchester United obviously got dismantled, which they were not the only team yesterday. So let's put that into limelight. But Manchester United looked very bad against yesterday, even with the red card. Still did not. I didn't watch after the red card, so can't watch off personal experience. But United have been very suspect to begin the season. So, but as for the top 6, Everton predicted them to have a chance at top 6. Didn't do it in the video we made for our predictions, but I did make an article for it, so I believed it was possible. And they've looked fantastic, to be quite honest. And for Aston Villa, obviously yesterday they pretty much dismantled my team left, right, and center for 90-plus minutes. So they look good. I believe I had them finishing 17th, so that looks pretty bad right now. I don't know. That they're an interesting team. Leicester, of course, are a very attacking side that could struggle defensively, but we all highly rate Jamie Vardy and highly rate Brendan Rodgers. So I don't see them staying in the top 4, but they could still finish maybe in the top 6. We don't know. They still have the Europa League to play, so that could have a hindrance. And they do not have Wilfred Ndidi for a long period, I believe. So that could play a major part. We'll see. But Arsenal had them in 6th, I believe. So for Arsenal, it's a good start. They did have a bad-ish performance. I don't know how you would rate it, Jake, against Liverpool. It was Lacazette could have made it 2-2 late in the game and would have changed things. But, yeah, I think you guys have looked relatively good. Willian looks like an okay signing. I know Pepe scored this weekend. And then, of course, for Liverpool, who's in 5th, really 2 bad performances defensively. That was against Leeds to open the season. Didn't really deserve 3 points. Got 1. Or should have gotten 1, excuse me. But we got lucky. Whatever you want to say. If it was lucky, we got a penalty at the end of the game. Salah buried it. And then against, of course, yesterday, there's too many ways to describe it. Kind of speechless about it. And then Spurs, I know Joe's excited. They really did a good job yesterday. And they've looked relatively good. So it's going to be tight up top. And we don't know about Chelsea as well, who's in 7th. But, yeah, it's interesting up at the top for sure.
Yeah, I think Everton, obviously top of the Premier League, 12 points out of 12 possible. The question is, how long can they keep this up for? I think they're going to be a team that can be that outside top 4, top 5 area for the most of the season. I don't think they're going to stay in first for very long. I don't think Villa's going to stay in second place for very long either. It really just depends on how many games how a run they can put together. Everton has a team where they can be a top 5 team, like I said, but we don't know. United clubs are Manchester clubs are in disarray right now. I think United is in a much worse position than City is. City in 14th, United in 16th. United there's a lot of problems with that club. I mean, me and Joe spoke about it multiple times on this show. we don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a very good manager. He's a good manager, but as far as tactically, he will get outclassed by many managers in the Premier League. He's not a very good manager. Most of his players bail him out with how well they play and they get out of situations. Yesterday was an example of Joe's team taking it to United and Ole getting exposed, and also Harry Maguire getting exposed. Pretty much the whole defense. And a big thing, Pogba too as well. I mean, he's been a mess.
That's a topic for another time.
Yeah, that could be an hour-long video. But with United needed to have a strong transfer window, which I personally believe they did not do. They did sign Telles today, which is addressing
Edison Cavani.
Edison Cavani, which I don't feel is a necessary signing, really, personally, for me. I think
what that means to me. Sorry to cut you off. So do they not rate Martial now? Is Purple Patch Martial not rated anymore?
I don't know, because
just wanted to make you guys know he is on a 3-game ban now.
Yeah,
so
it
comes at the right time.
Comes at the right time.
Shout out.
I don't know. That was disgraceful. But what is weird for me is half of the fan base seem to rate Martial very, very highly. But the club doesn't seem to feel that way. They brought in another striker for the playing this position. So, and they didn't go after Sancho, who we knew was the biggest transfer target probably in most of England for all summer. They didn't get him. They got Telles, which is addressing a problem. Left back, Luke Shaw's not there, not good enough anymore. Brandon Williams, we don't know how good he'll be. He's still very young. So they needed Alex Telles, which they got. Their center backs are not very good. All of them aren't very good. So they needed probably another good center back, which they didn't get. And then they signed an 18-year-old winger from Atalanta, who will be good in a few years, I think. But he's not coming until January, and it was for like $40 million, I'm hearing. This is not what a window United needed. They needed to address problems, and Ole did not do a good job of that. I don't know if he's in charge of transfers. Pretty sure Woodward and other people on the board are dealing with that, but it's not good for United right now. I'd be very what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't be excited about United's future going forward. I don't think they'll stay in 16th. They'll probably move in the top 10 eventually within the next month or so. They'll get some results, but they could be in serious danger of finishing 6th or 7th, maybe 8th this year, because their side has enough talent to finish top 5 probably, but the way Ole's managing them and the way that they're like gelling together is not very good. And it's big problems because Tottenham and Chelsea, their rivals essentially, are overtaking them as we speak. They're strengthening their squads and they're playing better football. So I think it's going to be interesting at the top. Joe has said in the past it's going to be a wide open Premier League. I think it may seem that way for a while, but I think Christmas time, December, is when we're really going to see who's really serious about winning a title this year. It could be a 4 or 5 team race this year. I'm thinking it'll only be down to 2 or 3 teams personally. When you get to Christmas and all those fixtures start to pile up, and there's Europe as well, there's going to be a lot of fixtures coming in, and you're going to see who's really about it and who's not. I think we'll see then who's really on top at that point.
So my opinion on this is watch out. I've had Villa going down. Watch out for them possibly going on a Leicester 2015-2016 run. You can't beat a 7-2 team and not be serious. I'm sorry, you can't. You cannot, especially the reigning champions. In my opinion,
So
the best team.
You have Aston Villa as a possible champion.
Possible. Do I think it'll happen? No, but just watch because, I mean, if you're beating a 7-2 who is defending champions and arguably the best team in England, you're for real.
I think it's not super far off, but to ever try to predict another Leicester City team happening in the Premier League is a very, very, I want to say risky because you're not really putting your neck out on the line for it. I don't think we're going to see a Leicester City team for a very long time.
I don't think it'll happen.
I'm not even watching them personally. I think this is a
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if it happens.
I will be very surprised. What?
Yeah, I think we should take back those expectations of them being possible crazy one-off season again, and maybe they should be looking towards a top 10 finish.
If they finish top 7, it is extremely surprising. So saying not to be surprised if they're a Leicester City league-winning side is a.
They also don't have a fantastic coach like they had back in the day. Claudio Ranieri is a very underrated coach who was at Chelsea at one point and Dean it's Dean Smith, right?
Yeah, Dean Smith.
Smith is not.
I-
That's
I-
just me.
I'm just saying, top 10 is great for them, considering they almost got relegated. I'd be extremely surprised if they finished top 7 or 8. Very surprised. I do not expect them to keep this up, personally.
We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, back to regular talk on top of the table. So we see Everton up first. Do I think Everton's going to keep this up? Just like Aston Villa, I don't. But at the same time, they have a team that's very good. Their issue is in net with Jordan Pickford. If they can somehow make a signing and truly upgrade that position, I think we can consider them title contenders. But until then, I don't think we can. I mean, maybe. I really like Ancelotti, but that team overall, I can't see them keeping this up. But they've beaten good teams. They beat Spurs, who I think is a very quality team this year. My team that I don't think is going to last is Leicester City. I don't think Brendan Rodgers is that good of a coach. I think he's a grade A bottler, in my opinion. And we saw it at Liverpool. We saw it at Leicester last year. The man bottles a lot. So just like Frank, I'm not sold on him at all. I'm not sold on Leicester either. They're always good for – they're good for beating teams and blowing teams out every once in a while. But I don't think they're going to be a top 4 team come end of the season, personally. Arsenal. I do think they might be a top 4 team. I think I really like Arteta. They just signed Partey. I think they have a great goalie. Again, my opinion, the second best goalie in the league. Arguably one. You could interchange 1 and 2, in my opinion. I think they're right there. They have Aubameyang, who, in my opinion, is one of the best attackers in the league. I can easily see Arsenal competing for top 4 and even possibly a title this season if things break their way. Looking at Liverpool, I still have them winning the league. But yesterday was shocking. 7-2 tells stuff about a team. Klopp got his tactics wrong completely, but he's Klopp. He'll fix it up. They were without their starting keeper, but they got to fix up that defense somehow.
Don't forget Mane.
Oh, yeah, Mane was out
Mane
too.
as well.
Mane was out
No
as well.
Thiago, no Jordan Henderson.
Exactly. So they were missing a lot of their players.
It's not an excuse.
Yeah,
No, it's a valid excuse in my opinion.
No, 7-2,
7-2
7-2,
is
no.
much either way.
If they lost 2-1 or something like
That's
that,
the
maybe.
worst performance I've ever seen from Liverpool as a supporter. That's unacceptable.
All I know is Klopp's going to get that team back on track. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't really have concern
This
about
isn't
that.
something that I think is going to happen again for a very long time.
Yes, but without it doesn't look like they're adding a keeper. Doesn't look like they're
They
adding
don't need to.
Adrian for another 6 weeks possibly. Is shocking. That could be very concerning. And if that happens, I can see them slipping out of that one spot personally. Because if they have shocking performances again with Adrian in goal, who knows if he gassed. I mean, the team just doesn't look as confident with him in there, to be fair. And I think that's just because Alisson in the back really helps their defense. But with Adrian there, for some reason that team just loses a little bit of its mojo. I can see another team sneaking up first. And looking at my Lily Whites, I think we have a chance to compete for the title this season. I really do. I mean, defensively, that's our big concern. But if we can stay healthy, we have the best 2 of the top 3 players in the league this year so far in Son and Kane. Kane looks like he's going to shatter the assist record in the Premier League so far. And he's looked insane scoring and passing. The midfield looks like it's finally starting to sort out. It really just all depends on if we can stay healthy, and that's just the one thing that, in my opinion, will hinder us.
You say you have
Yeah.
depth, so
I do think we have depth, which I think will help. But, I mean, losing Son or Kane, no
No
matter –
Skriniar as well. Just wanted to mention that to our viewers.
yeah, we're getting Joe Rodgin or whatever his name is. It's unfortunate, but it is
Who?
what it is. We make do.
again, I don't have nothing to say.
Yeah, he's not going to be a starter. I mean, hopefully, people are saying he has potential, but who knows? And then we'll look at Manchester United and Manchester City. I mean, United, they're linked with Poch now. I mean, Pogba is shocking how bad he played yesterday. And I like Pogba. I want him to succeed. But that man played one of the worst games of football I think I've seen in a while. That man he got put in a spliff by Ben Davies and then slid in there for I don't know what reason, just gave away a penalty. He refused to track back. He's not a 10. I don't know what he's trying to do, and I think he just needs a change of scenery. I honestly do. I don't think he's going to succeed at United right now. Luke Shaw, I mean, finally they're getting him out of there because he got, I don't know, I saw some pictures. He was playing center of the park on defense. And then you got Harry Maguire, who pulled down his own guy, who was trying to clear the football, and then allowed Tanguy Ndombele to rush in there and slot home the equalizer early in the game. So that team's just shocking. Ole has no control of his team. Again, like Jake and I have said, he's a great manager, a terrible manager. Mourinho came in there with vengeance, and he just absolutely destroyed him in and out. Even before that red card, that team was going to get smacked, in my opinion. And then City, until they get Aguero back, they're not a threat. They are not a threat until they get Aguero back. That team does not.
I disagree.
Until they get Aguero back, this team cannot finish. Sterling is finally people are seeing my Sterling agenda, and my son is better than Sterling agenda.
Sterling scored a pretty good goal against Leeds.
And he also scuffed another one.
Rightfully so, but most footballers do. You're not going to put every chance away.
Again, you got to finish your chances. He doesn't do it that often.
I still have City finishing above Spurs, regardless of that.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
So do I.
I don't think that they will, though. I just don't. I think Pep is done. I think that team has lost its will to perform for Pep a little bit. I think they're going to need to get a new manager in there. I think this has to be Pep's last year there. I think he's losing. The tactics are just getting stale. Kind of like what I said earlier in the summer about Liverpool, how I think tactics might start getting stale over there soon. I think we're seeing that now in City. So I just can't – I think they might sneak top four when they get Aguero back. But I don't know. I'm not sold on them at all. And I haven't been for a while now.
Jake, you want to respond to that?
I mean, I talk about United, really. City, as much as I want to count them out and I don't really want them to perform, I just can't really ignore the obvious, where they smash teams all year, every year for the last 4 or 5 years. Yes, they're not very good right now. They're in 14th place. Will they stay there? No. Will they finish in first? I don't know if they will. This slow start could be bad for them because they need to get as many points as they can with Aguero out. Because when Aguero comes back and he's fit, they'll probably get the points back. But they're going to really regret losing out on these points early in the season, I think. But with that being said, without Aguero still, they're probably still a top 5 team without Aguero, in my opinion. And then if you add Aguero, they're top 3 easily. If you want to throw in, I don't know, Chelsea in that mix because of talent, I guess. When Aguero comes back, they're going to make those points back up. Unless I'd be very surprised if they do not finish in the top 3. I'd be very surprised. I think they're a team that starts off very slow. They did this year. Like, they start off very slow. And this isn't something where we have to kind of look at it like, oh, is City a really bad team this year? Or they're not going to be as good as they used to be? Again, I think these first 4 weeks is not a good example of where I think the season is going to end up.
See, I disagree.
This whole thing can change in the course of, I think, less than a month. I think it can.
I disagree.
I've seen it happen. I've seen teams start off hot.
Last season, we saw City get off to a slow start, and we saw Liverpool get off to an insane start. Early out of the season, we saw Spurs look awful. We saw Arsenal look awful. It reflects the end of the table. Both Spurs and Arsenal didn't finish well, and City was way behind to Liverpool, and Liverpool ran away with the league.
Well, we didn't drop points till February.
That's what I'm saying.
Or, excuse me, that's lose.
The start of the season is a great indicator of how teams will look throughout the season.
I think it's harder to tell now that with COVID and stuff. We don't know with depth and whenever – because West Ham lost Issa Diop. I forget who else they lost. All of a sudden, you could just lose Thiago.
And they beat Leicester. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, one-off game.
So, it's hard to tell, in my opinion.
Again, I've said this many times. Sample sizes are not something that you want to go off of, especially if you are trying to predict.
But look, it's looking very similar to what it looked like like I said, I literally said, that Project Restart was going to be a big sample size. A lot of what we saw then is going to be reflected in the table come the next season. Manchester United, wrong about that. That does not look right at all. Sheffield did not look great at the end of that without fans. They don't look great now. Arsenal, they looked like they had stuff in them. They're looking pretty good right now. Spurs, it looked like they were starting to bounce back. They look like they're bouncing back now. Liverpool looked like they lost a little bit. They've lost a little bit, but they're still far and away the best. They're still the best team in the league, in my opinion. City didn't look that good. They don't look that good right now.
I think 3 and 4 games is too small of a sample
Everton,
size to be looking at.
Aston Villa, Leicester are at the top of the table. That will not reflect in the end of the season.
That
We'll see.
won't be the same in
Liverpool in
November.
5th place does not reflect how it will be at the end of the season. Chelsea at 7th will not reflect how it will be at the end of the season.
Well, we got to talk about
United.
Frank Lampard being fraudulent as well at some point.
Wolves in 13th will not reflect how it will be at the end of the season.
It's not going to be exactly the same, but I think
I'm not saying it will be exactly the same, but what I'm saying is you cannot count out teams or say teams are going to be at this level this early. Is what I'm
I
saying.
don't think so. I
I've seen it
don't
too
think
many
City's going to be
times.
14th, and I don't think United's going to be 16th. But I think we can say they're not going to be title contenders this year.
I've seen this happen
United,
past
sure.
seasons where I've seen teams go on 15, 16 game unbeaten runs and shoot from 13th to second or third.
I think you guys are looking at the prestige of Manchester City right now and taking that a little bit too much into account. They don't look like a good team right now. They don't look
They
like a good
created
team.
a lot
Isn't
against Leeds.
enough.
I think they created a lot of against Leeds. Leeds, they just didn't take their chances. And when you have a world-class finisher like Aguero, he's going to bury them. And he's back in training. So he should be back in the team 1 or 2 games after international break, in my opinion. That will change a lot.
If it was a 25 or so game season, maybe less than that, yes, this is not a good start for many clubs. But I do not want to overrate the fact that – I mean, I don't want to, overstate this, but it is a 38-game season. The entire picture can change in 1 month. Spurs can drop 2 – now they can drop 2 games, drop 6 points, and they go from wherever they're at now, 6th to 9th. Arsenal could drop 3 games and go from 4th to 9th. West Ham could win 2 games and go up to 7th, 6th, 5th. All I'm saying is it's way too early to tell. There's 34 games left with so much football to be played. I think how people start does tell a little bit. I think it says a little bit about how they're coming out. They're going to be rusty or not. But the top teams find ways to produce.
It's not even rust, though. It's not even rust because the layoff from when we last played to now.
Yeah, it's
so
fair.
less.
It's not. It's very short. It's probably less than a month. About a month. But this is not. I don't think this is a good example of where teams are going to finish. Personally,
I think
you
might not even break 90 points this year. And
I'm not even going to go off of points. I'm just going off of position.
I'm just saying. I think this year is going to be a very interesting year, where the competition is stiff, but the teams aren't necessarily as good. I think we'll see a winner. The Premier League winner is going to be around 88 to 93 points.
I'm okay with that because I really wouldn't be able to tell you. I think that's a decent figure because I don't know where points are going to end up. I don't think it's going to be a 4-team race, really. I think it's going to be 3 max when it gets to the end of the season, when it gets down to the wire. There won't be a breakaway. I don't think there's going to be a breakaway like Liverpool is not going to – if they're going to win, they're not going to win like they did last season in that fashion.
I think the gap between first and second will be within 6 points at the most.
I agree. But what I'm saying is once you hit 4th, 5th place, there will be a noticeable gap. And I think you'll see teams like Everton that start off hot may not stay hot all season.
No, they're not going to stay hot all season. I agree with that completely. I don't think Everton's going to win the league. But I think they'll definitely be in contention.
But he said don't be surprised if Villa wins it.
I said, don't be surprised. If there's a team that could have a magical
You'd be the only person. You'd be the only person in the world to not be surprised if Villa wins the league.
Okay. That's fine.
Also,
not even Villa fans.
I think we have slandered Pep a lot, and I think a lot of it is warranted. Let's not forget how many trophies he has won in his time there and how many points he has gained, more than anyone in his time there.
He's a Carabao Cup trophy farmer.
Who finishes above Spurs almost every year. Finishes top three.
Okay, yes.
Like this way. He can't. If he gets outside the top 4, it would be surprising to me because the way the team is set up, they're not going to drop many points this year. They shouldn't, at least. So I'd be shocked.
I don't know, man. I saw cracks in the Project Restart, and I think those cracks are getting bigger now. Just my take on it.
Okay. We'll see. I think December going into the New Year is the biggest time where you're going to see it. We'll see what happens.
We will. And for now, that's it for Wingers and Defenders. Thanks for tuning in.